Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to be conducting another test, and we're going to be testing Bitaxe Gamma 601 heat sinks. So if you want to cool down your Bitaxe Gammas, we've learned that thermal paste is ideally the best way, but also, I believe this was the one that I had in my last video, you also want these copper heat sinks installed on the Gammas as they help with the VRAM temperature, and the VRAM is what adjusts the power, and more power equals more hash. So on the front we want to install that, and then on the back we want to install one right here. This chip is much smaller, but another one right there and another one right there. I've seen some people install some heat sinks on their Gammas down here. That, in my opinion, doesn't really do anything, because if you look on the front, there really isn't any component there. Maybe in the middle you have your chip, but that's going to be right here, and I haven't seen that make too big of a difference. We'll go ahead and install one right over here too and see if that helps. But the comparison we're going to do today is we're going to show the install of that. When you're shopping for heat sinks for the Bitaxe Gamma 601s or 602s, you'll see a inexpensive option of the aluminum heat sinks, which is $12 for 100 of these, or you'll see for $12 you can get 18-piece kit. And these you can buy on Amazon, like I did. I just typed in Raspberry Pi heat sinks, and then you'll have these options. It's a well-known fact that copper does do a better job of dissipating heat, but I do want to test just because you are pretty much buying these at a premium, and if the temperature difference is maybe 1 or 2 degrees, it would be way cheaper to go for these. So for example, an 18-piece kit will probably do about 3 Gammas, because you need the bigger pieces here, and there's only a little bit of those, and then you have these small pieces, which in my opinion are kind of worthless. So you can do about 3 of them. I have 10 in my fleet, so that would be, quick math, 12 times 3, 3.5, I guess. We'll do 3. So that's $36. Versus if this does a better job, then you only need $12 for all 10 Gammas, because you have various sizes in here. But we'll conduct our test today. We'll have a stock Gamma that all these 3 are running at the same settings, which I believe is 740 frequency and 1189 voltage. Terahashes are going to be all over the place. I think one is doing 1.6, another is doing 1.5. Temperatures are going to be varying too. I'll go over those, but this will be our stock, which we won't make any modifications, but it will be used as a baseline. Even though all 3 of these are running the same settings, the temperatures vary, same with the hash rate. What I plan to do is we're going to keep this stock for now. We'll measure the temperature and the hash rate it's doing right now. Hash rate most likely will not change, but temperature, the VR, will change. And then we'll use this one, we'll put copper heat sinks on this, and we'll use aluminum heat sinks on this one over here. So whichever out of these 2 achieve a lower drop based on the settings, based on the temperature right now, we'll go ahead and slap whether it be copper or aluminum on this one and see if it also drops the temperature. So just so you can follow along, the stock Bitaxe Gamma is ending in 152, and that is running at 58 degrees right now with a VR temp of 55. And then the one that's going to be using the copper heatsink is going to be an IP ending in 154, and that's chip temperature of 63 degrees Celsius and VR temp of 67. And the last one with an IP ending in 151 is will run our aluminum heat sinks, and that is doing a chip temperature of 51 degrees Celsius and a VR temp of 57 degrees Celsius. So without further ado, let's go ahead and install these heat sinks and see what we get. All right, so now we'll go ahead and put the aluminum heatsink next to the voltage regulator, and this will help reduce the temps here for your voltage regulator. And then we'll move on to the back. So we'll add a couple of heat sinks back here, covering a couple of chips on the upper section of the Bitaxe Gamma. And right now is perfect time to add a shameless plug. And so if you did find this video helpful, be sure to subscribe. It does help a lot. Helps me or motivates me to keep on creating videos like this and experiments like this. It's absolutely free, so go ahead and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Okay, enough of that. This should be the last section we add right here to the back, and we should be good with this one. All right, so we are done with the aluminum one, so we'll go ahead and plug this in and start the test. And on the front, we got it just here. Important note, you see some people putting on here. This, do not put it on here. This is your Wi-Fi chip. I haven't tested whether it blocks the Wi-Fi signal, but it does absolutely nothing. I know it gets a bit warm, but there's absolutely no need to put it on here. So you're really just not doing any favors by putting it on there. The biggest thing when installing this one right here, as long as you're in this area right here behind power plug, and just you want to, as best as you can, just want to stay off those connectors by the Wi-Fi chip, and you should be good. Alright, so we'll give this about 25 minutes and then we'll come back and see what the temperature is. Alright, so the results are in. It's been about 20 to 25 minutes. So our Bitaxe 2, which is using the copper heat sinks, achieved a 9-degree VR temp drop, which is pretty good. And then our Bitaxe 3, which is using aluminum heat sinks, achieved a 6-degree drop. So the difference is about 3 degrees. The premium for the copper heat sinks is much more, in my opinion, just for a 3-degree difference. So what I'm going to do is for the Bitaxe 1, I'm going to go ahead and use the aluminum heat sinks and see if we get a similar result. So I'll do that. I'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and slapped on the aluminum heat sinks for our baseline Bitaxe Gamma. And the temperature, VR temperature did drop. I believe it dropped about 6 to 7 degrees, which is a huge improvement. So that means you can go ahead and buy these aluminum heat sinks. You can skip out on these copper heat sinks, which for 18 pieces is 12 bucks, 100 pieces for 12 bucks instead. And this will cover my whole fleet of Gammas, which I have about 10 Bitaxe Gammas, and that will drop your temperature about 7 to 9 degrees on average just by simply applying these aluminum heat sinks. So that's all I'm going to have for this video, guys. Please go ahead and like and subscribe. It does help in making new videos, and I will go ahead and see you guys in the next one. See you guys.